Abhimanyu is Radharani's designated husband. Radharani doesn't need a husband, but in order to enhance Krishna's pastime, a particular soul plays that role. See, everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. So therefore Krishna arranges, souls actually arrange to enhance Krishna's pleasure by performing these different roles. Like Jatila and Katila, they play that role because it gives pleasure to Krishna. But they're covered by Yoga Maya, so they're not aware of it. They're more in their role in that way than thinking of how to get pleasure to Krishna. But the role itself is designed to give pleasure to Krishna. Same with Abhimanyu. The whole spiritual world is centered on one thing, giving pleasure to Krishna. That's all. And because everyone is connected with Krishna, everyone not only enjoys also, but sometimes it says they enjoy more than Krishna. Just like if you do something for someone and you make them happy, sometimes your happiness is greater than their happiness, because when you see them happy, they're happy, you also become happy. But sometimes your happiness to see them happy is even greater than the happiness that they experience by you making them happy. So that's bhakti. Yes, there was a question on this side. Yes, in the back.
Krishna, I've got a few children.
Huh?
Got a few children.
I'm sorry.
I've got a few children.
I got a few children. Yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
I realized that it seems that they are always against me.
Welcome to the material world.
Yeah, and whatever I say, they think that I'm talking about God, I'm talking about Krishna all the time.
Oh, they're grown-up children.
They pray to Krishna, they bow and they chant. But then when I open my mouth, they say, don't talk, just keep your chanting. I feel that.
I think they are gurus.
They're helping me in another way by telling me to chant instead of talking a lot about Krishna. Because they say, it's enough. All mothers teach the children how to live. They teach us how to die. I said, well, in Bhagavad Gita,
if they're telling you to chant, that's the highest relationship between children and mother. That's the highest. I don't think you have any problems.
But I thank them in a way that they help me to progress into my chanting. So instead of opening my mouth to talk to them, I tend to chant all the time.
Very good. That's good, very good. You have good children. You've trained them up successfully. You'll definitely go back to Godhead. Simply by your children. That's wonderful. The children don't like, chanting. They like something else. Any other questions? There was another hand somewhere. Yes.
It's not related to the first question about what forms or what roles that are not meant to be achieved for us, conditioned souls, in the spiritual world.
What roles are not meant to achieve by us in the spiritual world?
So
you can't become Mother Yasoda.
Mm-hmm.
You will never become Mother Yasoda, Ananda Maharaj. But you have your designated, we say, eternal relationship with Krishna. Every living soul has what is called their, we say, what's the word? Spiritual identity. Swarupa, yeah. It's there. So perfection means to come back to your spiritual identity. You can even realize that while you're here. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was speaking about his identity in the spiritual world. He was describing it in detail. So that's there. So who you are is perfect. Once you attain your state of what we say perfection in your own spiritual identity, you don't hanker for something else. Because perfection is perfection. Now the soul is not limited. You can change your identity in the spiritual world, but you only do that to give pleasure to Krishna, not just to try to change roles just for the sake of it. The soul is unlimited, so therefore there's no restriction. But at the same time, when one is in their own identity, that's the best way to serve Krishna. And Krishna really appreciates that the most, and you also appreciate that the most also. And Gopakumar was a cowherd boy. He met Krishna in so many different levels, but it was only when he met Krishna in Vrindavan, as in his role as a cowherd boy, was he completely satisfied in that role as a cowherd boy. So in that sense, when you reach your perfectional stage, there's nothing else to aspire for. Yes.
Thank you very much for next class.
Great verse.
Yeah. When you mentioned about Srimati Radharani, when she hears that, sometimes when she hears that Krishna wants to be with another gopi, then she goes and she trains that gopi how to really serve him nicely. I've been curious about, where did you read that, Maharaj? Where could I find that?
That's mentioned many times. Even Prabhupada said that. Prabhupada says that on the tape. But it's also written somewhere. But I've heard Prabhupada say that. To explain what is the quality of Radharani's love for Krishna, which you can never understand anyway.
Is it also true that Prabhupada explained that the other gopis, because they know that Radharani pleases Krishna the most, they're always trying to, isn't there a picture of someone where they're pushing?
Well, that's the thing. The idea is Krishna's pleasure. And if someone else can get better pleasure to Krishna, then that's my happiness. The whole point is Krishna's pleasure, that's all. It's not like what happens to me or what am I getting out of it. And that's not even enters in, no one even thinks like that. It's like when Krishna had a headache and Narada Muni was with him. Narada said, "How are you, Krishna?" He said, "I have a headache." "Oh, you have a headache? Is there anything I can do to help?" He said, "Yeah. The dust at the feet of my devotees is the only cure for my headache." So he said, told Narada, "See if you can find some foot dust." Went to the sages and went to Karanya forest. He went to the sages, and he greeted Narada. Narada said, they exchanged pleasantries, and finally they said, "Narada, you've come for some reason?" "Yeah, Krishna has a headache." "Oh, what can we do to help?" Well, he said, the dust from the foot and feet of his devotees. "So could you give me your foot dust? I'll bring it to Krishna." He said, "Narada, are you being ridiculous? To put our foot dust on the head of the Supreme Lord? We'll go to hell." So Narada went to a few different groups of devotees. They all said the same thing. Came back to Krishna and said, "Krishna, nobody wants to give you foot dust." Krishna said, "Go to the gopis in Vrindavan." So he did. And when he explained to the gopis, Krishna had a headache. And they said, "Oh," they were really, like upset. What can we do to help Krishna's headache? Well, he said, the foot dust of his devotees, so give me your foot dust. Before he even could finish it, they were scraping the dust off. Narada said, "Don't you know you'll go to hell for this?" He said, "Even if we go to hell eternally, if it relieves Krishna's headache, then that's our happiness." That's why no one can understand the love of the gopis. It's not possible. You can't figure it out. You can't compare it to anything.